Poland and the European Space Agency signed a letter establishing intent to open a dedicated center of the European Space Agency in Poland. This is one of the outcomes of the ESA ministerial meeting this year. And here to discuss that and more, we are joined by Poland's very own astronaut, Sławosz Uznanski-Wiśniewski. Sławosz, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation, my pleasure.
So starting from the big news, how significant would be the opening of the European Space Agency Center in Poland, both for the country, but also for the wider space sector in Europe?
Yeah, I think very, very significant. I think if we come back 3 years ago to the previous ministerial, I don't think we could dream of establishing a technological site in Poland. Nowadays, we have these open discussions with the signature of Memorandum of Understanding between Minister Uznański and Director General of the European Space Agency, Joseph Aschbacher. So this is huge for Poland, and it is huge for ESA as well. The last year, together with the Polish first mission to the International Space Station, IGNIS, but as well multiple contracts, Camilla on building a constellation, Microglobe, Microsar constellations. This shows a big progress of the Polish space sector. Obviously, the next years will continue that growth, but the ESA Center already shows a huge potential of our market. It is huge for ESA as well, because this will be the first site, technology site, that can be established or will be established in Central and Eastern Europe. So showing the expansion of activities of ESA from founder member states towards our part of Europe, Central and Eastern Europe. But as well, it positions Poland as the leader of the region, which for Poland is not only a big recognition, but it also demonstrates potential of our economy in space technologies.
Part of the space progress in the Polish space sector that you mentioned is also Poland receiving its first military satellite. How significant would you say is this for Poland's security?
So obviously for Poland, national security is one of our national priorities for obvious geopolitical reasons. And today, without space technologies, it's difficult to talk about security and defense. So having that contract and scaling Polish assets and capabilities to support security of Europe is really, really important. I didn't have a chance to watch and follow on the news of the launch of the satellite, but actually on that particular SpaceX launch, Transportation 15, if I'm not mistaken, there is 4 or 5 Polish satellites. So this is already amazing when we talk in Poland on securing so many assets, not only for defense use, but also civilian applications, crisis management, Earth observation. Poland is the next upcoming big economy in the space sector, and I can't wait to consolidate these activities and coordinate nationwide through establishments like the ESA Center.
It's been a couple of months since the IGNIS mission, or since you were at the International Space Station. Poland is said to have invested roughly 65 million euro in this mission. What would you highlight as some of the most important returns that you see?
I would maybe mention and start with the huge interest of the Polish institutions, Polish private sector, to submit proposals for the mission. Obviously, the time of an astronaut, as well as funding to prepare science for the mission, is limited. There were 13 contracts that were selected, but what is still surprising to me, in a very, very positive sense of that word, is that all 13 contracts were delivered, tested, validated. The whole logistics was organized to send it to the International Space Station, and all of them, 13, have been successfully executed on the International Space Station. For me, that was a big honor and pride, a national pride to represent Poland, but I want to mention hundreds of people working on the Polish mission, with hundreds of scientists and engineers, and all that science has been successfully executed. This is once again the demonstration, a real palpable demonstration how ready sector is to actually keep on continuing with major technological solutions.
With respect to the 13 experiments that you conducted, 13 contracts, An aspect that I find very interesting regarding returns is the spaceflight heritage, or in other words, the recognition that certain technologies have successfully worked in space, which can in turn boost their sales or boost funding that they receive going forward. Would you highlight any success stories with respect to the 13 Polish experiments?
Oh, the first thing I mentioned is all of them have successfully been executed. Already that is a huge testimony to the work put into the Polish mission. We had beautiful experiments. Actually, Axiom 4 mission was the most loaded mission in terms of technology and science from all short-term missions ever executed to the International Space Station, which is great, and this shows how capable we are. Mentioning just a couple of experiments that just pop in my head, and there is no preference there, but one of the experiments I followed quite closely, that was studying the activity of the human brain in space with a company Vision from Lublin, from Poland, and with a specific hardware that is called functional near-infrared spectroscopy. They could not only visualize the activity of the brain in space, but they have successfully demonstrated the human-to-machine interface for the first time in space. And that has been done by the Polish company pushing the frontiers of science of what we know in human brain studies. And when I heard this information, being on the station, that was a huge privilege and a big pride for me.
That is considerable success for sure. Are you aware of any increase in sales or in interest in these products?
Oh yeah, multiple companies, multiple experiments. They have established international collaborations. I could mention just a couple of these ones. So one I have just mentioned. Another study that was called Astro Mental Health. That was a study on mental health of astronauts being subjected to very difficult conditions with changing human physiology, being in enclosed space with other people and with the extreme time pressure to execute the mission. And these environments allow to study human behavior in the group in difficult conditions, and we can derive very easily what other types of applications would be possible. As far as I know, this group not only belongs today to the biggest world analog astronaut facilities that run analog missions here on the ground to study human behavior in a group. There are analog facilities on multiple continents, and Polish research group is a part of them, is a part of this big consortium. For example, another experiment was called Astro Performance. That experiment was performed by a company called Smarter Diagnostics, and they have an AI platform to which they feed medical data of people in terms of, blood morphology, quality of the soft tissue, muscles, body composition, and out of that AI-driven platform, what is derived is the report on how to prepare human body to perform certain actions to be able to assure mission objectives. For me, the case was obviously my mission on the International Space Station, but also applications here are very broad in terms of, other services as police, the army, air force. We can derive these applications quite easily, and I know that there is a lot of interest. This company, throughout the mission, had a chance to sign a first contract with one of the institutes in Spain, taking care of human body performance for motorsports, Formula 1 drivers and MotoGP drivers. So I can't wait to see further applications being developed.
Looking at your experience at the ISS, would you say that your astronaut training that you had prior to going to the ISS was helpful? Did it prepare you well enough? I mean, obviously in some ways it did. The mission was successful, but were there any surprises, maybe something that you didn't expect? Or on the other side, did you think, oh, this is exactly what this training prepared me for?
That's an excellent question. To be honest, is we train on the ground many different aspects of the mission. I could experience microgravity before going, thanks to parabolic flights. So I could experience different G-loading in centrifuges. I trained in the pools. I trained in many, mock-ups of space stations or the Dragon capsule in different simulators. So you learn a lot of different things: how the systems work, how to behave in emergency cases, how the body is going to change in the human physiology, what we are going to experience. Also the training, obviously, on our science, so what we will execute. But what surprised me on the station, in new conditions, when your body needs to adapt, you have all these changes of your body, and then you need to use the whole knowledge that you got. But, in an operational condition, this comes as a surprise how overwhelming it is at the beginning in terms of stimulation of how the environment, how new the environment on orbit is, and how fast we have to adapt and adopt into to these new conditions to be operational.
Education was a big part of the Ignis mission, both on the International Space Station, but also afterwards. What would you say to a young person that is interested in becoming an astronaut, perhaps looks up to you, but is maybe hesitant to pursue this path, thinking, well, I could never be an astronaut? What would you tell them? Is space for everyone or just a select few?
I truly believe in the words I said. Space for everyone. Definitely space is for everyone. Independently what you want to do, space is present in our everyday life. Maybe some of us do not realize this on a daily basis. Obviously, during my path, there were a lot of hesitation moments. There were a lot of failures on the way. But the most important is to be able to, when you fall down, to stand up and keep on going. This path leads somewhere, and the most important thing is to make good decisions. Big goals take time, and the time to actually achieve these goals requires a lot of perseverance, motivation, and curiosity. And if you have a lot of that, you will succeed. The education part of the mission for me was really important because I love sharing my knowledge. I love sharing my experience with other people, and I get a lot of energy now from touring Poland at the universities and meeting with, high school students and people who choose their career paths, talking about engineering, technology that I'm very passionate about, and talking about, exploring space as well. That was always a dream of mine that I had a chance to fulfill. But I feel dreams you can always transform into your goals, and these goals later on into actions and milestones. And I think this is important to realize, that how to operationalize your dream into a plan that you can follow. So I invite everyone, no matter what you're interested in, biology, engineering, physics, mathematics, geology, or studies about climate, or maybe law. You can work on space law, you can work on space hardware or space science.
At this ESA ministerial, we heard plans or ideas for European astronauts to go to the moon. What is next for you, and will you be one of the astronauts going to the moon in the future?
Oh, this is an excellent question. I would be honored if I am ever selected, and if Poland, my country, supports such a mission. Obviously, we are still, at the beginning of our path in development of space technologies. We are still a mid-sized country, but, growing. So there is always a chance. We heard some announcements of Europe and the European Space Agency being a part of Artemis missions, and I can't wait to, follow my colleagues, support my colleagues, and I don't know what future may bring. I will come back to that. When I was growing up in Poland, being an astronaut, it was not a dream that you can really have or you can dream to fulfill, yet that happened. And I have no idea what the future might bring, but I will definitely be open to different paths, and if that could realize, that would be a big honor of mine.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed that you're one of the astronauts going to the moon. Thank you very much, Sławosz.
Thank you so much.
I'm Sonia, Agata, Bišćan, and thank you for watching TVP World. For more news coverage, do stay tuned.